Hey, welcome back to our friendly tech chats. And today we want to make a special episode. It's Christmas
Yes.
after all. It's coming.
It's Christmas almost. Happy holidays, everyone.
Unfortunately, in the Netherlands, it's a little bit sad Christmas because it happens to be on the weekend, so we don't get any free days.
But and even if we do have free days, there's nothing to do because everything's on lockdown.
Yes, only escape the country, as some people do.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, exactly.
But you can listen to us and maybe enjoy one more episode, which we decided to do a little bit different than usual. And we would like to ask your help for us to prioritize our backlog.
Yeah, because we've had like a wonderful year with lots of interesting discussions about all kinds of subjects. And there's lots of subjects that we would like to talk about going forward. But we're quite curious what you, the people who are lucky enough to go view this thing, would like to hear about, what you think about and what you would find most interesting if we address that. You can, of course, always comment on the videos and like and subscribe. You know, the ones that get more feedback we will get back to. That's why we'll be handling CUPID one of these days.
But it's also, it's also good to let you guys know what's in our backlog. And so let's go through our topics. Testing on production, my favorite topic. Why we might want to do the testing on production and a bit how to do it and what are the challenges.
Yeah, and I think it's also quite related to SRE that we've done a couple things on. So I'm quite excited about that subject as well.
Then always good for clickbait and reactions, microservices or monoliths. Our view on this toxic debate.
Yeah, is it toxic?
It's polarized. Polarized is a good word.
Yeah, exactly. Polarized. That's the right term. Yeah.
Another polarizing and religious topic, functional programming versus OOP imperative styles.
What we've seen is that reactive and that style of programming gave a really large boost to the popularity of functional programming. But now that things like coroutines are coming around the corner, people are saying like, yeah, okay, but we can achieve the same thing that in a less invasive way, which is also easier to understand with OOP imperative programming. So now you kind of see a sway back towards imperative programming. Yeah, and the fun aspect there is that with coroutines, it's not reactive versus blocking. It's actually reactive versus non-blocking imperative.
Well, okay, these are slightly related indeed, because you were saying, but for me, those are still two different things. Reactive versus blocking, it might be interesting, inspired by the Kotlin Dev Day, where we had this nice presentation about the development around Project Loom, about coroutines. And for me, that was also a question, okay, where do we really need this reactive? Where do we have to invest into switching from blocking? The next is the purpose of tests. That's again a topic that we have touched many times in our discussions. Maybe we can already maybe we can move it here and then revisit at some point the purpose of tests if we want. And the same might go to mock. Compliance versus modern software development. It's a little bit painful topic for me now because I am in a regulated industry in insurance at the moment, so they do have a little bit of pains.
I am extremely interested in your experiences with that because we're getting more and more of that at Bold.com.
Okay, then it's, because I was thinking that there was not that much at Bold.com, but now you're saying...
No, there was not, but...
Yes, of course. And there are some pros also of this. I'm not saying that it's necessarily only bad, the compliance things.
No,
that's what we'll discuss.
I think the ultimate purpose of compliance... Okay, I'm
that's
going
what we'll
into the topic again. No, I think it's a really interesting subject.
And regulations. Topic about not invented here syndrome, which is usually seen as very negative, but I have some examples where I think it was the worst example, the worst cases of not invented here, build your own middleware, which was not, and throw it away in a couple of years, but it was still a good idea.
Yeah, it's basically the buy or build dilemma also, right?
Yeah, we can extend it with buy or build.
Yeah.
Buy or build. And throw away. The angst of rework, or basically how we deal with rework. And for me, that's a pattern that I see often. It's avoiding rework. And that means like postponing starting work before all the more information is gathered, or sticking to the original solution instead of trying to adjust based on new learnings. Okay, JSON in relational databases, or we can say in general in databases.
Yeah.
There are some people like me who like to abuse JSONs in the fields because of various benefits it gives. But of course, there are some downsides of it.
It's kind of like annotations in Java, right? Like if you have a type
No, it's not.
system,
It's
why
not
work around it?
universally bad. It's not universally bad. Don't try to.
Hey,
make
neither are annotations, man.
Yeah, I don't know whether like. Why do you think it's?
Is this a subject we should add? Well, let's add it. I think it's an interesting subject.
Okay. Annotation-driven development.
We can do a nod in there to annotation script.
Featuring Spring. I'm not actually sure what you mean by that. It's like annotations. I think it's more like a technique that goes sometimes against the traditions, especially in the pure relational database traditions. You go even against the first normalized form, but you can get a lot with this. But you can also get unexpected downside, not even necessarily those which you think or your database engineer thinks first.
Yeah, I have thoughts about this subject, so this is also something
you see.
I would love to discuss. But also, I think maybe it's an instance of a different topic that I'd like to address, which is how much work do you put in the database if you're in a microservice environment?
But maybe it's not necessarily only database, but infrastructure. Spread work and logic between app and infra. DB, it can be ESB, service bus, it can be clever configurations. But the most prominent example, of course, is database.
Yeah, I think I prefer to start with just database and then maybe pull it even further back later.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Then for now I'm putting DB, maybe later more infra.
Yeah. Yeah, like messaging frameworks, of course, can also do quite a lot for you. Yeah, and especially with service meshes, there's a lot of basically logic that's pulled outside of your application, which can be good, but can also be a risk.
Okay, good. You see how good is it to go through your backlog? Well, we did got rid of 2 items, that's good, but we created at least 2 more. So we'll see how it goes. Hiring process, coding interviews.
Yeah.
Our wins, frustrations and pains with both sides being on the hiring side and being a hiree.
Yeah, and one thing that we've addressed like in passing also in all our test topics, but I think it might just be worthwhile to do a dedicated chat about TDD.
So I like this. I think that's a very good TDD. It's much underused, I think. Much less used.
But it's also polarized, and I think that is part of why it's underused.
Yes.
And I think part of the reasons of why it's polarized is that it's often misunderstood.
Yeah. That's perfect.
So I think it's interesting to have one.
Yes, TDD is a good one. Okay, now we're going back to the reaction topics. Yeah, we did one video on the Dan North criticizing Solid, which got the most likes and views. And so for us, it's a good indication that it's a golden mine. We should dig it further.
Yeah, exactly. Milk that cow.
till it's completely empty. So we definitely need to make an episode on CUPID. The only question is when. So please vote for this. And CUPID CUPID is joking, but not that much joking, actually, alternative to Solid that was proposed by Dan North, which I actually found quite interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And read.
Yeah, and I've seen a few other proposed 5-letter acronym alternatives. So maybe we should include those, but let's start with
Let's start
CUPID.
with one and then let's see how much milk there's still in this cow.
Yeah, exactly.
Tester pattern that Bart spotted in a Java magazine, which the specific technique that might be interesting to revisit at some point.
Yeah, I think the considerations around it are definitely interesting.
Yeah, maybe it's already actually published. I need to check it because it was not published when we checked it last time.
Yeah. Last time it was only in the paper version.
Yeah. Okay, then we have a reaction on some tweets with continuous delivery versus top on integrated environment. And that was coming from tweet of Charity Majors. How quickly could you deploy a single wonderfully clarifying question? And then there were discussion of some people we know. Is it always good to go as quick as possible to production? Or is it better to have a process where you soak or let your code sit a little bit on the staging, either doing active or even passive testing by waiting that some processes will hit some misbehavior?
Yeah, it might be worthwhile to reach out to Mark to see if he would like to join us for that discussion.
Yes, actually, that would be a very good idea because otherwise it might be a little bit one-sided discussion.
Yeah, exactly.
And this one, honestly, I don't remember anymore, but I did really like this YouTube video presentation from Stefan Tilkov on GoTo 2019.
So if you know this video, please tell us to address it.
And if you don't, I would recommend to watch it because I think it's good. I don't remember why, but I think it's good.
All right, so we'll put all these topics in some kind of survey or something.
Yes.
And we will add all the things that are suggested in the comments. In the comments, you can, of course, just suggest which things and also others. Or you can fill in the comments with the survey, which we'll link in the description.
And if you want to participate in some discussions, if you
Yes, if you
disagree
have a
especially
particularly-
with us with something or want to add
Yeah.
some other perspective, which is basically disagreeing,
Yeah.
drop us a note. We're interested.
So that means like happy holidays.
I think so.
Woo.
I will be doing it with. Wait. Yeah, focus.
We'll get that out and enjoy the holidays and be safe for New Year's. Be safe in general. And let us know what you want to hear about in 2022 and have an amazing year.